Hello and thanks for staying with us. The Nigerian Customs Service has impounded seizures from smugglers operating along the nation's borderline. Plus, more report. I am Igiseme Itinye. Stay tuned. The Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service have been speaking on how Nigerian Customs Service has an improving revenue drive in the country. He commended members of the service for a job well done.
For those who knew when I took over the realm of administration of the Nigerian Customs Service, there was three key mandates that were given to me by Mr. President. And that's what we now today call in the Nigerian Customs Service as the 3 R's. And the directive was very clear. When I was sent to Nigerian Customs Service, Mr. President said, I want you to go there, reform the service, restructure, and then raise revenue. Those were his clear words, and they were very unambiguous. So I knew when I stepped out of his office, I know where I'm going, and I know what I have been given. So today, in my press briefing, I will stick to these 3 mandates. I will address each one of them as to how far we have been able to make progress and what are the challenges, and then what we need to do going forward. The reforms that I talked about, which is the first part of it. And why do we choose reform as the first part of it? Because human capital is what makes an organization. If you're not able to get the human capital positively on your side, then the chances of success is very, very dismal. So in arranging those mandates, Mr. President is very much aware that we must first and foremost take cognizance of the human capital. And what do we do to make sure that you align the 15,000 plus Nigerian Customs men and women along the line and the path of progress? So what we did was we created, first thing we needed to do is to look at our training and remodel it. And the best way we could do that is to come up with, we borrowed a leaf from the Army, thanks to where's the Colonel. We borrowed a leaf from the Army. That was where I came from. We have what is called Nigerian Army TRADOC. TRADOC is Training Doctrine Command. It is the house where training is built, skewed, and then screwed and modeled to fit the people you want to train. So the first thing we decided to do is to create a training and doctrine department responsible for the development of doctrine for mental and moral and ethical direction of officers. Because you must do that to get the capital. Then we introduce the implementation of the simplified modern business, because now that we have now found a focus for the human capital, what is next is in our own business of import, export, processing. So we address the issue of implementation of simplified modern business process, which of course, if you know, one of the gridlock we do have at the port is because we have so extensive procedures of clearance. There are over then, I think about 17 or so, or less than that, that you have to go through from one table to the other to get it sorted out. So the first thing to do is to reduce that time frame in order to make sure that an importer will not incur additional cost because he wants to clear his goods. Because if for every day after the first, how many days, 1 week, you begin to accumulate demurrage. And for every day the container stays in the hands of the terminal operators, they charge you. So the best thing you can do for any importer is to fast track the process of the clearance of this. So we address the issue of simplified process of export import.
According to him, the service will also promote the policy of the service as applicable to implementation of government policies throughout the country.
Yes, I thought I mentioned it that we were given the target of 3.019 trillion for the year 2022. And I told you that we have, so far, as at the last take, we have collected 2.143 trillion. So we're working towards making sure that we get to the target. But I've also told you our challenges that as a matter of fact, as a result of some of the factors, some of the key areas that were factored into the 3.019 was the collection of the telecommunication tax, which up to now we have not started. Also the collection of the carbonated drinks tax, which we started just in June or July. So we did not start at the time we were supposed to start, and those are factored. Those figures ought to have added to the 3.019. And but despite that, we're working very assiduously to make sure that we blocked other chances and see if we can, by the end of December, report to Nigerians that we have been able to make the 3.019 trillion target. Then, Voice of Nigeria is still issue on borders. Let me say, I don't think we should, we do not have the capacity and we do not have the money to build fence along our borders. Because even the United States that Trump said he was going to build, they discover that is not cost effective. It's not cost effective. And let me tell you, if the fact that you build fences does not mean that people will not still find a way of bringing. So what we are doing is making sure that we work closely with our neighbors. Is the best way of solving this problem. If we have a good understanding with our neighboring countries and we work based on the protocol of the ECOWAS protocol, all these things will stop. So we are working closely. As of today, between us and Niger, we have almost a perfect system there. There are virtually not, if there's smuggling going on is very minimal. Where we have problems is our borders with Benin Republic. That's where we are having problems. And we are working with them to see if we can create a synergy to make sure that we protect ourselves and protect each other. So the best way to is like smuggling is like I had to use this word. It's an old is one of the oldest do I call it career or exploit of human being. Between America and Canada, as sophisticated as they are, up to today's cigarette is being smuggled between those. So it is something that nations can only do the best to reduce it to the barest minimum. And that's what we're doing, to say we have stopped smuggling. Because even in your pocket, you can carry goods worth millions, especially for women. I'm sorry to say this. When they travel and they come back, they buy diamonds of millions. They put it in that bag, you will never know. You'll never know. So that's why sometimes when our custom officers say, "Can I see your bag?" they take offense. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of things can be smuggled through that. So how do we beat that? And that's why we are eager to deploy scanners.
The Apapa Customs Command has seized a container full of drugs at the terminal. The Customs Area Controller said that the Customs will continue to seize any unapproved consignment that comes into the country without approval from government.
In line with our interagency relationship, synergy and cooperation, today, on the directives and approval of Controller General of Customs, I, Controller Awal Mohammed, Customs Area Controller Apapa Port, is here to hand over 20 cartons of illicit drugs which belongs to the class of tramadol to the Commander NDLEA, Commander SN, for further investigation and prosecution of the suspect. The TIN number of the consignee have been blocked. The license of the agent have equally been blocked. We tried to trace them through their addresses. The addresses are fake and we could not trace them there. They have been on the run and we are in search of them, and sooner or later we are going to catch up with them. And obviously they must face the wrath of the law.
Receiving the drugs, he said that they are very grateful to the Customs for a job well done and also for a better cooperation between the Customs and the agency.
Without the cooperation of the Nigerian Customs Service, this seizure wouldn't have been possible at all. They have the spread and they have the number, and then always we rely on them for this kind of great success. This has been handed over to us. We know the implication of this kind of the drug menace. It has implication on national security. It has implication on health. Almost every family is one way or the other a victim of the drug menace. The drug problem is a public health issue. It affects productivity, and at the end of the day, it affects our economy. We are very, very grateful to the Nigerian Customs Service and will remain resolute. We want to assure Nigerians and the pressmen here and the Nigerian Customs Service that we will take this investigation to a logical conclusion.
A new management team joining, and then we have lost, of course, you know that quite a number of our members of the top management have retired. As a result, we have now brought in new younger ones, and this initial training at the beginning of their tenure is very important. Very important in the sense that it gives them up initial the perspective of leadership and what is required of them, because each one of us is supposed to be a role model, and each one of us is supposed to manage people. So this type of training comes handy, and we're happy that we're having it now. There should be looking at himself as the next leader of customs, the next Controller General of Customs. So, and in that perspective, what would you do to improve customs? And if collectively all of us think about the ideas and actions that we take to make custom better, if we converge those ideas, then we will end up having one of the best customs based on our mission and vision.
Human development is very key to attainment of all our strategic goals. So starting with the management, we fast track the attainment of all our goals and deliverables. It will come down to the controller level so that all of us will be on the same page, and together we move towards the attainment of all our goals and objectives. So I commend the World Customs Organization and the CGC for organizing this retreat for the top management.
You are watching the program Customs Report. The Federal Operation Unit Zone A has again impounded goods worth millions of naira from smugglers operating along the nation's borderline in the western zone of the country. The acting controller in charge of FOU said that the Nigerian Customs Service will make sure that all revenue are collected for government.
It's not that customs will pass it. They will smuggle those vehicles using unapproved routes. Then when it is brought in, they will now come and give it a legal backing by generating documents. When they generate these documents now, unsuspecting buyer now will now go and buy this. And when customs says, oh, this is fake documents, oh, you now say, shebi I paid. See papers. That is what they are into. Desktop you are seeing here were the desktop taken from these two suspects. They were found in action at Idiroko in a house where they were cloning customs documents for supposedly vehicles that were smuggled into Nigeria to give it a clean bill. It's on intelligence. And when they were swooped upon, they were found in the act. As a matter of fact, well over 600 vehicles are on the roll that they want to clone to bring into Nigeria through falsified documents. These are the two suspects, and these are what we took from them: desktop, computer, printer, and when you check through their phones, we got a lot of evidence and intelligence on them that I may not be able to say until we get to court.
According to him, goods imported, seized by the customs, is worth millions of naira.
That smuggling is an illegal and willful means of conducting business. It is an unpatriotic activity that involves the importation or exportation of goods through unlawful means with the objective to evade or underpay custom duties, taxes, and any other measures of prohibition or restrictions on the importation or exportation of such goods. Smuggling has an extensive menace on the economy that has continued to impact on activities of locally manufactured goods. It also encourages acts of criminality in society. Smuggling, according to Customs and Excise Management Act, Cap C45 LFN 2004, is any or all of the following: outright avoidance of custom official control across the ports and borders; under declaration of goods, a situation where the importer declares a lesser quantity than the actual quantity of goods imported; undervaluation of goods, a circumstance whereby goods valued lower than the correct value; wrong classification of goods, this is a situation of declaring goods under a different class of imports to attract a lower rate of duty and tax; falsification of documents with the intention to evade or reduce duties and tax. Smuggling is an unpatriotic act and a crime that can lead perpetrators to jail. 18 suspects were arrested in connection with some of these offences in February 2023 and are at different stages of investigation and prosecution. Notable among the wares seized in February 2023 for non-compliance with extant customs laws are 5,328 by 50 kg bags of foreign parboiled rice, equivalent to 9 trailer load. 1 by 40 feet container said to contain 512 cartons of generator on detention for false declaration.
The newly appointed commandant of the Nigerian Customs College, Ikeja, said that the Nigerian Customs Service will continue to train staff throughout the country. He made a pledge when he paid a working visit to the acting controller FOU in Lagos.
A privileged appointment accorded me, and I won't take that for granted. Custom Training College is our prestigious institution. I want to believe most of us here seated passed through that institution. It is a platform where capacity building takes place. It is also a platform where the rookies, the incoming, the would-be cadets experience the fundamentals of what a custom officer should be. So, in that regard, it is an opportunity for us to see the Controller Federal Operations Unit, who has been very, very supportive to the college. the college sees Federal Operations Unit as a very important stakeholder. My predecessor duly informed me during my taking over the collaborations and synergies that the college had with the powerhouse of Nigerian Customs, which is Federal Operations Unit. So we're here to build on that relationship that you've shared with the college. We're here also to solicit and to assure you that we're going to tap from your wealth of experience, considering your pedigree, considering the values you have added in the Nigerian Customs Enforcement Unit. Time to time, we're going to seek for your support, particularly as we're looking forward to receiving our cadets. They shall be having a 6-month compulsory basic training. Sir, with the help of Almighty, we shall require you in so many capacities, particularly to deliver some lectures based on enforcement. Our cadets need to be grounded. So, on that note, sir, basically this is one of the reasons why we have you as our first place of official courtesy visit.
The FOU Zone A Acting Controller said that the Customs School has trained officers nationwide since the inception of Customs College in Ikeja.
Listen, I'm not surprised. Your appointment is well thought of. You have trained a lot of people, and you are a certified trainer, both international and national. You have attended so many courses, and you have trained a lot of officers. Now, the baton has been passed on to you. I do know that you are going to put on your best. I have no doubt in your capability and your capacity to turn around the fortunes of the training college. I have no doubt in the fact that you are going to bring a lot of changes that will rejuvenate the training college into being a very good standard for capacity building. On my own part, I will be a reliable ally to you, because Customs as a family, we can find ourselves anywhere, anytime. You can't get posted to where I'm seated today. You can get posted equally. So, whatever we do, whatever support we are going to give is for the service. Our intention is to put the service to a very high pedestal. We should try to improve so that we will not leave the service the way we met it. So that as we are descending, we will descend well and hand over well and properly as well.
Just before we round up this week edition of the program Customs Report, we brought you a report where serious what millions of naira was accepted by some commands in the country. For me, Igiseme Etinye, thanks for watching.